So we're going to work in a subcommittee until we get a quorum here, but we've got several bills we're going to go through today, so I want to try to get to it. The first bill we will have today is House Bill 1791 by Representative Murphy, on the fast tracking of building permits. So, Representative Murphy, whenever you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Jim Murphy from District 94, South St. Louis County. I appreciate the committee hearing my bill first. I've got to get to a fiscal review hearing, and if we don't have that, we don't have a floor today. So I appreciate that. I'm here to present House Bill 1791. It's expediting building permits. This bill went through the House. It went through committee and got an 8-0 vote, went through rules at 9-0, and had 111 votes on the floor, so it's a very bipartisan bill. First of all, let me explain that the delays that are caused by building permits and red tape are killing our economic development. They're killing our builders, and they're hurting our employers. First of all, building permits, it is estimated that across the nation, the delays in permitting is adding up to 5% to the cost of buildings. In a day and age when we're looking for low-cost housing and more affordable housing, having the government add that much to the cost of a house is just absurd. I'll give you an example of how ridiculous permitting is. Representative Beck lives in St. Louis County. I decided a year ago that I was going to put in a whole house generator. You see them at Home Depot, Generac generator, we'll put one in for you. Well, I called my electrician and said, I'm really interested in doing this. He says, great. So he applied for a permit to put it in. That was in November. I got the permit to install it in March. November, December, January, February, March. 5 months for something it's cookie cutter. This is stuff that they do all the time. Now, that was annoying to me, and it's things like that annoy our voters as well. The costs that are added by delaying all of this processing. When a builder decides he's going to build a project, whether it be a subdivision and so forth, he goes out and gets financing, gets the financing done, and now he's applying for a permit. If it takes 2 or 3 months, just the carrying costs on that is ridiculous. There's no need for that. The state of Florida passed the regulation that I'm presenting here today 2 years ago, and they're having absolutely no problem living up to the timelines that are in this bill. This is not a partisan issue. The governor of Pennsylvania just passed an executive order demanding the same things that are in this bill, because he's saying it's killing economic development in the state. We've got to get the red tape out of government. What this says is that a political subdivision, when they get an application for a building permit, depending on the size of the project, but if it's a simple one like a single-family home, they have to issue it within 30 days. Now, there are times that there's insufficient efficiencies in the application. The bill covers that and how that would be handled, and it would delay the issuance of the thing. But if everything's in order, there's no reason why they can't do it in 30 days. The city of Jefferson City said they don't have a problem doing this now. When they have big projects, it's very rare that they do it themselves. They have outside sources that go through buildings, plans and so forth, and can tell you that. Now, let me be clear on one thing. Even though after the 30 days, if they haven't responded and would require that the permit just be automatically, the building permit be automatically issued, It does not stop any of the requirements for any code adherence or any of the inspections. They would all go through just like they would if the building permit had been approved. And if they're not building it up to code, they're not doing the job stops just as it would if they had approved the code. And there's levels to this, 30 days for a small project, 60 days for a bigger project. And like I said, there were all types of things in here that would cover if there was a inadequacy with the application. There's also a section at the end that covers what hopefully we won't need today. In St. Louis, we had a major tornado. And the delays in permitting and so forth has been horrific in the city. It's just not getting built. There is a section that says that they have to apply for the permit within 5 days. They can start working forward. The city would have to apply to the 30 days, but to start for clearing and starting the project would begin automatically because it's an emergency, and it's an emergency declared by the governor. And again, the reason they have to apply is because we want to make sure that all of those inspections take place. We don't want bad actors coming in and doing inferior work. So all of that's covered in the bill. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, before we begin with any questions, I think we're going to stop and take roll since we have a quorum here now. So, Alex, if you would.
Henderson?
Here.
Berger?
Here.
Beck? Here. Black? Bratton? Crawford? Here. Nicola? Here. Nuremberg? Here.
Okay, and a quorum has been established. So at this point, questions for Representative Murphy. Senator Berger.
Hey, good afternoon, Representative. How are you?
I'm fine. Let me say one thing. I've got a problem with my right ear right now, so if I have to ask you to repeat something, it's because I can't hear.
No problem. Did you drive in water this morning? Did you come up last night?
Yeah, I walked this morning.
This morning. Will this slow down the process or actually speed up the process?
It's the whole thing is designed to speed the process up.
Uh-huh. A certified inspector, what kind of cost will come with that? Do you know that?
A certified inspector?
Yeah.
In what?
Like on a small community, is this particular to a bigger community, smaller communities, or all communities?
It's across the board. If your county doesn't have building permits now, they wouldn't be required to do them.
Okay. So if your county or your city doesn't have it, basically.
Well, the city does have them now, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about it, like I live in a community that's 700 people. I guess we will have a certified inspector. We would have to hire a certified inspector.
Oh, no. If you don't require them now, you won't have to do
You
them.
won't have to have.
It's-
So
but
that
if they're required in your community, then you would still have to adhere to it.
okay.
That wouldn't change anything about the way you're doing it now.
How do you get to be a certified inspector?
I think you have to take tests and be trained for it.
I wonder, you know, and I know that makes sense, but I wonder where that is. I wonder, how do you become a certified inspector? I mean, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but is there a certified inspector school?
I would think so. Most of the building inspectors I've ever run across, and Representative Beck, I think, or Senator Beck could probably tell you better than I, they're generally people that came from the trades themselves at one point or another. Yeah.
Some of them come from the trades, in the building trades. After they're done, they become building inspectors. In St. Louis County, I know there's some in the city that way.
So who would actually certify them then to be a building inspector? How does that work? Do you know?
I don't know what they take. I'm sure they have to take some sort of test in whatever region, whatever standards the political subdivision sets up to be a inspector. I don't know what that is. I mean, I think each one is probably left up to their own devices to probably decide who's certified to be an inspector or not.
I would assume if you're a master plumber that you'd be qualified to be an inspector.
The only thing I think you would have to have some kind of stamp or certificate at some point in time, and I understand what you're saying about being like a journeyman plumber or journeyman electrician.
Right.
But at the same time, somebody would have to stamp you.
And again, this bill really has nothing to do with how that would happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Anybody here to testify in support, please come forward. Please turn in your witness form if you have it.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair. My name is Marco Zalata-Rodas. I am a registered lobbyist and serve as Director of Government Affairs for the Associated Builders and Contractors Heart of America chapter. We currently represent over 270 members across Missouri and Kansas and do advocacy for the 90% of this nation's construction workforce and industry that chooses to be in a merit shop and represent the majority of Missouri's construction workforce. And we are here in support of House Bill 1791 for the simple fact that our contractors are excited to gain more clarity in the timelines for their building permit request. As Representative Murphy mentioned, if there is a deficiency in the permit when it is submitted, there is a clear stipulation on when that deficiency needs to be identified and returned to the contractor, which allows them to correct it and then plan accordingly to begin the work, instead of being in a state of limbo per se, waiting for building permits to be approved in order to start jobs. This helps them mitigate the risk when it comes to cash flow and having labor on the job site or having material delivered that they obviously had to still cover and pay for, just sitting on a job site, etc. Truly, this is just something that will provide greater clarity for their timelines and for the deployments of labor so they can know what the schedule looks like, especially if they're small or medium-sized contractors. When speaking to these smaller contractors who have more restrictions on their cash flow and their viability to survive large delays, they're more at risk of having issues with large delays. They're very excited to see this move forward, just again, because it's easier planning. It allows them to focus on their growth, on safety training, and more effective deployment of their labor on job sites. With that, I want to keep it brief, but we are very excited. Our contractors are very excited for this bill to be here before this committee. Thank you for hearing this bill, and we hope that you will consider this bill favorably.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none. Thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, James Harris representing FGA Action to go on the record in support of 1791. It's very similar to Senate Bill 1286 that we heard maybe a month or so ago in your committee, Mr. Chairman, and we'd be supportive if you wanted to make similar changes like you did to the Senate committee substitute on SB 1286 that kind of seemed to work out, narrow it down to residential dwellings. Happy to answer any questions.
Senator Beck.
So that was, I believe that turned into a 60-day permit process, and it was single-family homes only, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Anybody else to testify in support? Anybody in opposition? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Richard Sheets. I'm with the Missouri Municipal League, and we like to go on record expressing concerns for HB 1791. First of all, overall, this is an unfunded mandate, a preemption of local control. This is a very complicated bill. The previous witness mentioned Senate Bill 1286, but this is much more detailed than 1286. 1286 was very limited in scope, and Senator Brown did expand it after we just discussed this with him. This bill sets up a number of tiers of approval, and some for residential, maybe 30 days, but for some subdivisions that are building homes, the approval process is 12 days. So it's a various approval process, and I think that's going to complicate the matter. Also, there's a mandate on the certified building inspector. Building inspectors are certified through national organizations like the Building Code Conference, and my experience, that's not a real common occurrence, especially in the rural parts in small cities. So I believe our small cities are going to have a real problem finding certified building inspectors, and I think that may prompt some of our smaller and rural communities to abandon their building building code inspection process, and that's a public health and safety issue. Because finding those inspectors are going to be very difficult. And I think when you have those inspectors, I think the cost is really going to go up. Larger cities could maybe shift revenue from other areas to pay for the additional costs. Smaller communities or rural communities, I think, we have much more difficulty funding this bill. I think this is really, the way that the bill is structured, if cities do not meet the time limits, the fee is reduced. So I think that's kind of a subsidy for the building industry. I mean, now the taxpayers are going to have to pay for the cost of inspections and implementing their building permit process. I just think this is a local control issue. This is our city councils and boards of aldermen are elected to respond to the needs of the community and work with the building community and residents in developing their building code process. We are really opposed to this and believe it's harmful to many of our municipalities. I'll answer any questions if I can.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jorgen Schlemer on behalf of the Fire Service Alliance. I figured this might be Representative Murphy's last presentation of a bill in the Senate. I could not resist the opportunity to come and testify against it. So, first of all, the first item, I think one of the previous witnesses said, if you go to Senate Bill 1286 on the 60-day of residential, if you do that, then I'll dispense with all my other comments except for my last comment, and that is on page 6, subsection 5, there's a provision in there that deletes the fee for running for fire protection board member. What's the big deal there? Well, actually, I remember working on this bill to insert a fee into the statute many years ago because in many of the areas it's free to sign up to run for a fire district board member. I'll do that. And the next thing you know, you had 25, 30 people on the ballot. The cost to the fire district to run that election was so expensive, it was costing them, I can't remember how much money. And so we don't really care if the fee is the $100 or if it's the same as the county. In fact, one time I think it was the same as what it would cost a state rep to file. We were just trying to think of population size, what might be similar to another county or state office. But I think there needs to be some fee in there because if people have to pay some nominal amount to get on the ballot, it screens out a lot. Not that we want to screen people out from good government, but if you're a serious candidate, you can come up with X number of dollars in our election costs. This will actually be a substantial fiscal note to local fire districts if you get 25, 30 people on the ballot like we had back in the early 90s. So that's my comment on that.
Questions for this witness?
Thank
Seeing
you.
none. Anybody else in opposition? Please come forward.
Chair, members of the committee, Joshua Claridge here on behalf of Metro West Fire Protection District and the City of Eureka would like to go on record in opposition at this time. We are unclear as how these timeframes would apply as drafted, so we would like to take a closer look, have you all take a closer look at those timeframes.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators, Tom Dempsey, registered lobbyist for the Missouri Association of Career Fire Protection Districts. We're also concerned about the low limits on the approval for permits. Would like to see 60 days.
Questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in opposition? Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative Murphy, you have any last?
Yes, once again, thank you for hearing this bill. I will say this, that this bill has been before committee in the House now for 3 years, maybe 4 years that I've done it. And we've had numerous people come in and say, well, the timelines are bad. We're working hard to serve our customers, our citizens. Yet in the 4 years that they've heard this bill, they've done nothing. Nothing to improve the system. At some point, if they're not going to fix it, we need to. So whether it be 30 days or 60 days, 60 days adds costs. And, you know, if a whole state of Florida can do it, the whole state of Pennsylvania can do it, I think we could probably do it too. But if it went to 60, I wouldn't have a lot of heartburn over it. But I will tell you that they've had the opportunity to fix it themselves. They haven't. We're here to serve our citizens. If locals don't do it, then it's our job to do it. So I appreciate you considering it. Thank you very much.
Okay, that will conclude our hearing on House Bill 1791. Next up is House Bill 7. Let me see. I saw Senator Voss in here. I'm going to go there. Next up will be Representative Voss presenting 2474. Representative Voss, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is John Voss. I'm the state representative for District 147. I'm here to present House Bill 2474. This bill will add the progressive design build project delivery method as an available option for political subdivisions. 10 years ago in 2016, the General Assembly added the design build project delivery method, and that's been used to quite success throughout the state. Last year, we were able to remove the sunset on that. The Design Build Institute of America also has this progressive design build method that I think could be very useful in certain situations, and I'd like to explain why I think this is worthwhile. The design build method really helps consolidate risk for a local municipality into one contract. A traditional method of building something, you would have an architect do a design, and you would have a contract with that designer. And then you would go get bids for that particular design, make your choice, and then hire a constructor to go implement that design. So you have multiple contracts and multiple points where either communication can fall down or liability might get muddled up. And the design build method allows for a single integrated team of designers and constructors and have one point of contact and one risk associated with that for a municipality. The Missouri Department of Transportation is using design build quite extensively in the I-70 and the I-44 projects. So a design build method is something that is quite useful when the scope is very clear, and this is something that has been done quite extensively in the industry. So there's a lot of knowledge, and you can rinse and repeat, if you will. So we've put down a lot of miles of interstate in the state of Missouri. We've done a lot of overpasses, diverging diamonds, and so we should know what that costs. But sometimes that isn't enough. A lot of those contracts have to get established with scope and pricing when there still may be some question of what the scope is really involved in that project. And so as the scope of projects becomes less clear at the beginning, the progressive design build method is another option that can be used quite successfully and extensively. And so where you have a situation like in Senator Berger and I's area, Bollinger County needs to replace their courthouse. Now that's not something that a lot of commissioners do a lot in their lifetime. And so we don't know exactly what that new courthouse needs to look like, what size the jail capacity needs to be, and how much money the municipality can spend. So sometimes you need to have a more collaborative process to work with contractors and designers in order to really understand what are the specific needs and the scope of that municipality, and to get further down the process before you really lock scope and are able to determine can the municipality do it for the monies that they have authority to spend on behalf of the citizens. And so a progressive design build is just another way to help deliver projects in an area where scope may not be as clear as in some of the other methods. I'll stop at that and be happy to take questions. I know Senator Henderson has a similar bill that was introduced here in the Senate, so I think you might be familiar with it, but I'll be happy to answer any other questions.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none. First person to testify in support, please come forward.
Good Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Laura Holloway, Director with the Missouri Municipal League. Speaking in support of this bill today, it gives our communities extra options, and we appreciate you bringing forward this bill.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you very much. Next person in support.
Good afternoon. My name is Doug Wesselschmidt. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Grandview. We are in support of this bill because it gives us more options in order to do project delivery within our city. We're very interested, and other cities are as well, on delivering capital improvement projects the most efficient way as possible and the most cost-effective way as possible. And this gives us a great option to do that. We're also, as a city of Grandview, on the border of Missouri and Kansas. We're in competition in trying to make economic development incentives to prospective businesses, and this progressive design build is already an option in the state of Kansas. So when we're trying to convince businesses to come into our area, we want to be able to deliver capital improvement projects that would support those developments in a quick and efficient manner. Other traditional methods such as design, bid, build are a much slower process. So in our Kansas City area, we've been envious over the Panasonic plant that took place over in DeSoto, Kansas, and MoDOT delivered all of the highway and roadway infrastructure with progressive design build, and they were able to deliver that project on time and under budget for that big economic development project in that state. So we would like to be able to have that tool in our toolbox as well.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Next person to testify in support, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Rhodes. I appear on behalf of the American Council of Engineering Companies. We too are in support of this. It's a very useful tool for our Missouri municipalities. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Next person in support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Again, James Harris representing DBIA Mid-America region. We're supportive of House Bill 2474. There were a few changes I sent, Mr. Chairman, to your Chief of Staff to kind of have it mirror your 1484, and then a little technical change to make sure that this would apply to wastewater facilities. Happy to answer any questions.
To answer your question, Mr. Harris, I think that's maybe our plan as we come back with this to exec it out. Instead of executing today, we're probably going to try to, for the committee, this bill, I've got a similar bill, and it was voted out 4-0 out of government efficiency. And so we'll probably try to mirror some of those as much as we can and then bring it back at that time to try to get it out and give another vehicle. Questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in support?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Fred Dreiling today representing the Missouri Association of Municipal Utilities and the Builders Association, a chapter of the AGC, and we would like to go on record in support of the bill. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in support?
Mr. Chairman, Shannon Cooper today on behalf of the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. We just want to go on record in support of the bill. I don't know that I can add anything that has not been said. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else in support? Seeing none. Anybody in opposition? Please come forward and turn in your witness form when you're done.
Lisa Panett with Armorvine. I'm glad that they start with the word progressive because that's exactly what this build model is. It's progressive. The teams that consider this consider it without pricing, like in the state of North Carolina. You can research that. These agreements are highly effective for implementing sustainability goals, green technology and materials in particular. This works in conjunction with the data centers, increasingly to accelerate the deployment of green technologies, ensuring faster delivery of the sustainability goals. And lastly, this legislation pushes out the little guys and drives up the cost. And with that, I can take any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in opposition? Seeing none. Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative Voss, you have anything in closing?
No, I would just say that this is passed out unanimously from every committee in the House, and it was 141-5 on the House floor, so there's broad support for this, and I would just ask for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, our next bill for today we're going to go to is House Bill 2387, Representative Banderman. And I want to kind of tell the committee before we begin, I think we may have heard that in Senator Crawford's bill earlier. Some people have asked us to hear this bill here today, and I think maybe you may have heard from some of them. So, Representative Banderman, please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to present House Bills 2387 and 2480. I'm going to try and keep my comments brief. I know there's some people here to speak on behalf of the bill. This bill seeks to reinstate the presidential primary. The presidential preference primary was eliminated or cut back in 2022, and I'm going to use those three letters as an acronym to introduce what was the objections to the presidential preference primary. The cost was one of the elements that people complained about on the presidential preference primary. Usefulness was one of the complaints about the presidential preference primary, that it didn't matter. And then the timing was also an issue with the presidential preference primary, that by time Missouri held our primary, some of the candidates had already left the race. House Bills 2387 and 2480, I believe, addresses two of those three things, and I want to highlight them and not spend a whole lot of time. This bill seeks to do a couple of things. Primarily, it reinstates the presidential preference primary. It moves it forward to the first Tuesday of March, which is the earliest date that the two main parties will seat our delegates. If we host a presidential preference primary or a caucus before March the 1st, they won't recognize our delegates for the national selection. The third thing that it does is that the state of Missouri will pay for the presidential preference primary. This is the same as it was before it was eliminated. And the fourth thing that it does is it creates binding language for the first time. It makes the presidential preference primary of the state of Missouri matter. There are many states around the country that either utilize a caucus or a primary. Missouri was one that had a hybrid system, but our hybrid system had a flaw. The flaw was that our primary was not binding. That comes back several years to a court case in another state where the court found that the state could not force the seating of a delegate if the national party rules conflicted with it. And so several of the states that have a current hybrid system that have fixed this have created binding language with the caveat that if the national parties create a rule that will not seat those delegates, the state cannot force them. So within the confines of the current court precedent and the law, and our constitutional freedom of association, this binding language has been carefully drafted for our bill today, but it's also very similar to the other states that have either only a presidential preference primary that is binding or a hybrid that is binding. But those three things are the things that there was really some consternation on the preference primary. I can't do anything with the cost. I think it's honestly pretty extraordinary that we can host a statewide election for only about $9 million, and that includes the window, that includes the, the absentee portion, all of that is included. But we can deal with the other two parts in this bill, and that is that it matters, and that the timing is as far forward as possible. By moving it forward a week, it also reduces the overlap between the March election and the April election, because there is a 6-week window of both in-person and mail-in ballots. This started with me in my county. I serve as the representative. My name is Brad Banderman for District 119, central part of Franklin County. We are a Class 1 county with almost 110,000 people. Out of that 110,000 people, 72,000 of them are registered voters out of the total population. We got a lot of voters. Out of the 72,000 in 2022, 20,000 of those registered voters participated in the presidential preference primary. When we eliminated and it went strictly to a caucus, a little over 250 people showed up that day. It went okay. It functioned. I'm not coming in front of this committee with a problem with the caucus system, only that I believe that we can do better as far as participation. If we make the presidential preference primary matter, we move it as far forward as we can. We've eliminated 2 of the 3 problems that have been a constant source of issue on the presidential preference primary. And I will make a commitment to this committee and those that are listening. If our parties decide to make us even more relevant and choose to seat our electors if we hold our election, say, the first week of February, I'll be back in front of this committee if this bill passes, trying to move that preference primary forward to make it as useful as possible. With that, I'll try to take any questions. If there are some technical questions about the court cases, I'd be more than welcome to meet with you guys in your offices. There have been several court cases that deal with binding language, and this language is very similar. It is held up.
Questions for this witness? Seeing none. Anybody to testify in support, please come forward. Turn in your witness form and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Miles Ross. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Republican Party, here to support this bill. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Senator Nicola.
Well, thank you very much for being here to testify. What's your purpose for wanting to make this change?
More access for voters. We received, in 2024, we received just a ton of complaints from probably every legislative district in the state, because we only had about 23,000 people participate. Usually in an election like in 2016, 1.5 million people voted. And I think, there's people here from the Democrat Party. I think they had about the same number of people. So approximately less than 50,000 people were able to participate. And, 2028 coming up, it's going to be it's an open primary, so to speak. There might be front runners, but it's going to be very contentious. And so giving voters the right to vote, including our military personnel. We have 2 bases in Missouri, and there was a lot of military personnel that were deployed or whatever could not vote for their commander-in-chief. So that's the main reason.
So do you think it would be better, though, if we had a primary with closed primaries?
That is in our party platform, and we do support that.
Yeah. So is the Republican Party then endorsing this to make this change?
Yes. The party endorsed it in 2023.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Further questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else to testify in support? If you have a witness form, or if you haven't, fill one out, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Russ Carnahan, Chairman of the Missouri Democratic Party. Great to be here in front of you and your committee members, and to really be here alongside our colleagues from the Republican Party. I think this is a unique and significant agreement of both political parties, looking back at the process that we went through in 2024. And it really boils down to participation. Very low numbers participated, and if you have any kind of unique circumstance, if you're in the military, if you can't get off from your job, if you're disabled, any number of reasons people can't make it out to an in-person caucus, makes it very difficult to participate. The other thing I'd like to add on top of Miles's testimony, from my perspective and our party perspective, we'd like Missouri to be relevant again. Getting it set on an early date, going to be a bunch of people running for president in the next cycle. to make Missouri relevant, to have candidates come here and compete, spend money, campaign. I think that's an important part of our process, to make Missouri part of that, to have Missourians' voices heard. So happy to answer any questions for the committee, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Mark Feigenbaum with Missouri Farm Bureau, and we would also like to see the presidential preference primary reinstated.
Any questions? Thank you. Anybody else in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Connor Lubert testifying on behalf of the Missouri Voter Protection Coalition, and we would just like to go on record in support of this legislation. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in support? Okay. Anybody in opposition? Please come forward and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Bev Aylen. I'm testifying as a resident of Warren County, Missouri, named after Joseph P. Warren, but we'll talk about that later. Anyway, I awakened to the importance of public policy back in the late 1980s. I was just a kid, and I participated in my first caucus in 1996 because Bot Radio made me aware there was some pro-life issue that I had to go to the caucus for. I didn't know what a caucus was, but I followed their directions. I showed up, and I participated in every caucus since, because when things are important to you, you make the time and go make decisions. Political parties are private organizations, and we've been going on the wrong path for years, because I don't even know how, and I need to go back and find the history, because Missouri has footed the bill, the Missouri taxpayers have footed the bill for private organizations for all these years that we've gone and had the primaries to determine our candidates in August. So two main reasons why many of us grassroots Republicans, we're Republicans because the party platform lines out certain beliefs. And the reason why we're against this is because not only are we a private organization, it gives us an opportunity to teach every time somebody has a question about the presidential preference primary, is an opportunity to teach them about the parties being private organization. And the other thing drastically changes in House Bill 2387 is State Statute 115766, which really neuters the caucus and convention process. It takes away the reason, because it binds the reinstated presidential preference primary and the cost, and it also binds the delegates so they don't even have a reason to caucus, because why give up your Saturday to go caucus if people have already determined who the candidate's going to be. There's other reasons, like by the time it gets to Missouri, the candidates are usually selected, but the biggest reason, and thank you, Senator Nicola, for mentioning it, because I do know that since 2016, because we haven't managed to change our platform since 2016. We've been working 2016, 2020, 2024 off of the same platform, and I'm leaving 6 copies of it for the Republican members of the committee, but it's really easy because it's right here in the middle where the staples are, but the closed primary. I'm surprised and horrified that the Republican Party didn't use House Bill 2387 as a reason to have closed primaries. Because not only are they taking away the privilege and the hard work and the possibility of the private political organizations from choosing their own candidates, they didn't even try to get a closed primary. It's been our platform for 20 since 2016, probably since before then, but I just have copies of this one because they're, anyway. So I'm a member of the Missouri GOP State Committee. I've been a member on the Warren County Committee since we moved out there at the turn of the century, and then I was elected chairman of the Warren County Committee in 2018. But I didn't get onto the state committee until 2023. So we've had 2 terms in our Missouri GOP State Committee, and never has presidential primary been brought up for any resolution. So I'm just, like, again, I'm usually a pretty quiet person. I just kind of work hard, and but I say enough is enough. If we're going to have political parties in Missouri, then let's have political parties. If we're just going to dissolve it, then let's just be honest and pick a number, pick from the jar. Okay, I think that's all. Well, there's more, but that's all I need to say. And I'm turning in, and I know this is not right, but I'm going to do it anyway because that's what I do. Another member of the GOP State Committee couldn't make it because of storms in her area, so her name is Michelle Roosting, and I'm going to leave that here for whatever it's worth.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in opposition?
Lisa Panett with Armorvine. First of all, I want to applaud the Democrats and the left wing of the Republican Party for working in unison together on this bill. Since we're going to bind the delegates and we don't have closed primaries, it's allowing for Democrats to pick our Republican candidates. And so what a sweet deal. If I was a Democrat, I'd vote for this. But you already know that. And so this is just a bad deal for Republicans.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else in opposition? Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative, anything in closing?
Yes, I want to thank the committee, the witnesses that have come to testify both in favor and against. I didn't realize I was a left-wing Republican, but maybe today I've turned into one. I think the idea of closed primaries inside of our party platform is important. I think that discussion is important. But if we're waiting on closed primaries, none of us would be sitting here. The process of the political parties within our state operates just fine in a hybrid system or in a preference primary, a primary state, or in a caucus. This passed out of the House by 116 yay votes and 28 noes. It's a very bipartisan bill, and I believe that it's important that we increase access to the presidential preference process. In a county of 110,000 people, I believe that we can do better than 250. And I believe if we make it relevant and we make it timely, I believe we can eliminate most of the issue that we've had with the primary when it was eliminated. So once again, I thank the senators for listening to me today.
Okay, that will conclude our hearing on House Bill 2387. Next up will be House Bill 2096, Representative Farnan. This is dealing with funds for regional planning commissions, similar to Senator Berger's bill earlier. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Farnan. I represent District 1. I have 4 counties that I represent in northwest Missouri. Thank you for letting me present House Bill 2096. Missouri's regional planning commissions do critical work, coordinating economic development, infrastructure, and environmental planning, often for counties that can't afford the staff or can't do these functions alone. Currently, state matching funds haven't kept pace. This bill doubles them from $25,000 to $50,000 for our 17 smaller commissions and $65,000 to $130,000 for our 2 metro commissions. And these are matching funds. Every state dollar requires a local match. Communities will have skin in this game. This bill will also update the official statewide list of commissions. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
I think I'm correct. Is this identical in every way, or at least I know it's almost identical to Senator Berger's bill? Is it identical in every way?
I think it is identical.
I thought so. Any questions? Senator Nicola.
Representative, thank you. I have been in communication with Senator Berger on this too, because I have an amendment with that. Is he going to be the handler on this side? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. I'll continue some conversations with
Thank
him.
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, anybody to testify in support, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jack Gamble here on behalf of the Missouri Association of Councils of Government, here to testify in support of the bill. We've got a great sponsor here and on the Senate side, so I don't have a bunch to add. I do want to add that all of this money is subject to appropriation. This is just a cap increase. So if you do decide to pass this bill and increase the money, the General Assembly would still have to come in next year and increase the money to what the cap would be. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Laura Holloway with the Missouri Municipal League in support of this bill today. Our communities rely a lot on regional planning commissions, so we support the opportunity for increased funding when available.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in support? Anybody in opposition? Anybody for informational purposes? Representative?
Me? Thank you. Regional planning commissions are the middleman in every project, so I really urge the body to support this. Thank you.
That will conclude our hearing on House Bill 2096. Next up will be House Bill 1736. Representative Wellenkamp. Please begin when you are ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Good afternoon. I am Colin Wellenkamp. I represent District 105 in the House. That is St. Charles City. And I am presenting to you House Bill 1736, Parks Expansion and Enhancement for Disaster Mitigation Act. And I have to say, testifying in front of you on this bill today, right now, is the definition of irony. I am bringing to you a disaster mitigation bill as a disaster unfolds in my own city and across the state with hail and what I really want to talk about, stormwater and flash flooding. Last year alone, the state of Missouri incurred $2 billion in actual losses due to disasters. These were recorded losses. $400 million of that $2 billion figure was from stormwater and flood-related disasters. We have the capacity to, at our disposal right now, that is already fully funded and sitting there through our parks, green spaces, to onboard and mitigate a lot of this disaster impact from stormwater and flash flooding. What this bill does is it is an administrative clarity bill that spells out that the sales tax that is already set aside for parks expansion and enhancement can also be used for the deployment of natural infrastructure in parks to take on and store disaster impacts from flooding and flash flooding and stormwater. This is the enhancement of parks, the expansion of parks, and the connecting of parks for parks, so that we stay within the confined language of what the voters approved for sales tax revenue to go into their parks. We want this to be a use for parks in parks. The bill allows enhancements that must be natural, so we can't use any of this money to fill our parks with pipes or catchment basins or pumping stations. It all has to be natural infrastructure to keep our parks exactly the way they are, natural and inviting and open for families to enjoy. It also, as 6 of the members of this committee, which I was delighted to see, have districts much like my own, either along the Missouri or the Mississippi River, 2 largest rivers in North America. So you are no strangers to flooding, flash flooding, stormwater impacts. I sit on both. St. Charles City is a confluence city that sits at the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. We have the largest number of river microbasins in the state of Missouri per capita. We are dealing with a lot of water that wants to get to more water. So this allows us to enhance, expand, and connect parks in such a way that we remove repetitive lost properties and allow for better management of stormwater and flooding. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Representative, is this exactly like Senator Snelting's bill?
Yes, sir.
I thought it was. Okay, so I think that was voted out of this committee, just if I know 6-1 earlier. I thought it was exactly the same. Questions for the witness? Seeing none. Anybody to testify in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators, Tom Dempsey, registered lobbyist for St. Charles County. Want to go on record in support of the legislation. I think between you, Mr. Chairman, and the Senator, you've covered all the points.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else to testify in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the committee. My name is Carolyn Nicemonger. I'm here on the behalf of the Sierra Club. There's not much more to say about this bill that hasn't already been said. The Sierra Club is certainly in support of this legislation. We spoke in support over in the House and got a hearing, and our reasoning remains largely the same. So yeah, would just like to be on record in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in support? Seeing none. Anybody in opposition? Please come forward.
Keeping me busy today. Lisa with Armor Fine, Lisa Panette. So, last week we heard the appropriations. And just like a little revisionist history about what took place about the appropriations. There was actually money appropriated for money to go to a park because that property flooded, right? So we're going to purchase a floodplain that's private property, and we're going to call it a park. That was what the appropriations was. And so now we're saying we want the ability to be able to spend money to mitigate flooding. So are we going to purchase that property and then decide everything we want to do with that property to make sure it doesn't flood, even though we're purchasing it because it's in a floodplain? I'm just trying to keep up, with what's going on. So maybe somebody could answer that, or I don't know.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else in opposition? Seeing none. Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Representative, anything?
Only this is for parks, in parks, enhancement, expansion of that, and there is no additional market force whatsoever in this bill than your full free market behavior that's already there in statute. I close, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. That will take care of our hearing on House Bill 1736. And our last one for today will be House Bill 1812. Representative Nolte. Begin when you're ready.
And I represent District 51, some of the finest farm ground in the state of Missouri. House Bill 1812 merely codifies an operation that's been sometimes done, sometimes not. It's going to allow the names of deceased members of the state of Missouri to have their names removed off of the voter rolls. It has no fiscal note, and it passed off the floor 143 to 0. I'll answer any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none. Thank you. Anybody here to testify in support? Seeing none. Anybody in opposition? Seeing none. So, Representative, I think we've finished that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That will conclude. I make a motion that we adjourn. That will conclude our hearing for today. Do I have a second? All in favor? And we are concluded.